So, welcome to the first edition of the Wolf Whistle podcast, the podcast which interviews and celebrates the former players of our great club. Normally, it's on audio, but now we've moved to video. I did promise I was going to do it in the Wolf Whistle bar, and here we are. John, having a tipple of red tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, cheers, mate.
We're on Cote de Rhone 2022. We had a bottle of Chateau Neuf de Pape earlier to calm the nerves. John, how are you feeling?
You had that, didn't you?
Well, I had most of it, but
yeah.
John, before it began, did you ever get nervous?
Nervous is not the right word. It's kind of a determination to play well. You might describe it as nerves, but it was more I think a feeling that you want to prove that you're worth being out there, really.
Yeah. I mean, we've got an absolute favourite of mine, Jon Purdie, 103 games for Wolves and 13 goals between 1985 and 1988. But for you, John, it didn't all start at Wolves. I know you was at Wolves from the age of 18, but before that, you born in Corby, Northamptonshire, and you ended up, or started, I should say, in the bright lights of London at Arsenal.
I did, yeah, and it was kind of an experience. Probably not the greatest decision I've made in my life going there, to be honest, at the time. I was from a small town and ended up in a big city. Got a little bit lost, and but still met some good people. Had a good experience. Life's like ups and downs. That's how life is.
But at the time before you signed for Arsenal, there was quite a few other clubs chasing your signature, wasn't there? Forest were one, I know.
Well, yeah, from 12 I was at Forest. I mean, I probably my best years of football was from sort of 10 till 20, really. It was kind of that, and maybe even younger, if I'm honest. As a schoolboy, I was pretty outstanding. And I think the transition into becoming a professional and, dealing with what comes with being a professional footballer, I didn't find particularly easy or enjoyable. But I just loved playing football. I just wanted to have the ball and get on with playing. But when you become a professional footballer, all of a sudden it's about getting a result, doing a job, all that sort of thing. And some people are more suited to that than others, and I'm probably not one of those, really. I've got an opinion, got my own thoughts on how things should be done. Managers don't particularly like that, which I learned as I grew older, but that's how it was.
Who was the manager at Arsenal at the time?
So I signed for Terry Neal.
Terry Neal,
And we had a little bit of a connection there because my mother's from Northern Ireland, he's from Northern Ireland. And we kind of felt that he was going to, look after me and sort of, keep an eye on me. Unfortunately, as football is, I was there 6 months or so. He got sacked, and then Don Howe took over, who was kind of an exact opposite, which you often find with managers, coaches. They like to have a different opinion. Someone who's Terry was charismatic, could talk the hind legs off a donkey. Don Howe was very organised, disciplined, structured, and as a pair, they probably kind of worked. But when Terry left and Don got them, I don't think Don Howe was ever really got out to be a manager, because he kind of wasn't a people person, but he was good on the training ground. And his sort of ethos was all about not conceding before going out to try and win a game. Defensive minded. Well, I was exactly the opposite, way, and I don't think the way I wanted to play football and the way I play football was his cup of tea. To be fair.
I mean, Don Howe. Obviously, we all know the distinguished football career he had. Born in Wolverhampton. Obviously, at the time, that wouldn't have meant nothing to you on the basis this was before you joined Wolves. But there was a bit of a culture around the club at the time, or I think in football in general, where you call it character building, but now it could also maybe be perceived as bullying.
Yeah, I didn't experience that with Don Howe because I didn't really have a lot to do with him. He was the first, at first team level, and I was first reserves and youth team. But yeah, certainly there was a bit of that going on in the sort of it wasn't academy then, but
Sort of
at
youth
that level,
team,
youth team level, there was certainly a bit of that going on. And I kind of half understand it, but I don't think there was a lot of thought gone into it. They just sort of treated everybody the same.
Yeah.
And as we all know, we're not all made of the same stuff. So some people need a rocket, some people need an arm over the shoulder. We're all different, and we all react to different things.
And what did you need, John?
A little bit of love, really.
Yeah. Actually, coming from Corby to the bright lights of London, it's a massive move for a young man.
Yeah, and you kind of get put, and you know, not to play that down, but I come from a sort of good working class family, but I was looked after. I got my own bedroom, got fed, all that. And I moved to London. I was sharing a room with 3 other guys in a camp bed, and it kind of just I just didn't feel, you know, really. I just didn't like it. It was like, well, I've moved from somewhere to go to this massive club, and I just felt that it wasn't really the right thing to do for kids. I was 16. When you're 16, you actually think you know everything. But in reality, we know nothing.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I just felt the duty of care was really poor. When I finished training at Arsenal, me, Niall Quinn, we'd go and play pool or snooker or whatever and have a few beers and, you know, kill the rest of the day. I've never gambled, but Niall liked to flutter, so I'd go with him. And, you know, we'd just traipse around and kind of kill the afternoons and the early evenings, go back to our digs, sleep, back up again. But there was no kind of, no real care or kind of consideration about what this kid's doing, having left home at 16. I just don't think it's right, you know. I know it's totally different now.
Oh, absolutely. The duty of care is incredible now.
Yeah, and quite rightly for young people, you know. And they are, well, literally, even though it's a long time ago for me, we were still potentially commodities, but I think nowadays it's more regarded as, you know, this person's got potential and he could make the club a lot of money or be worth a lot of money. Where then it just seemed like a conveyor belt mentality. If he doesn't want to do it, doesn't suit our needs, then we'll get someone else.
Move him on. And some of the players that were around at the time, do you want to name some, John? I mean, do you want to put your steel toe caps on for the names you're about to drop out here?
Oh, no, yeah. Well, in my year, there was Tony Adams, Dave Rocastle, Michael Thomas. The year below was Paul Merson. The year above, Niall Quinn, Martin Keown, Martin Hayes,
incredible.
Gus Caesar. A lot of players that went on and played for Arsenal's first team.
Yep.
1 or 2 amazed me how they actually played for Arsenal's first team. But,
really?
Yeah. But then, you know, out of that group, 7 went on and became full internationals.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Arsenal went on to win the league with really the nucleus of that team.
Well, absolutely, yeah. And that's one of the biggest kind of regrets I've got is, although I wasn't particularly happy there, when I got offered a professional contract, a 2-year contract, it was kind of not really in fact, I was, when they offered me the contract, I ended up earning less than I was as an apprentice, because everything was free as an apprentice. You travel, gigs, and they offered me money that meant when I got taxed, I was actually worse off than when I was an apprentice.
When you was an apprentice.
So I kind of stood up for myself and said, really, it's okay. Michael and Dave are living at home.
Yeah, local lads in London.
And they don't have to pay their dig money. It's their pocket. But for me, I'd got to, you know, pay that money, and I just felt it was a little bit derogatory. So I stood up for myself. Got a 1-year contract with the promise if I did well, I'd get, you know, what I wanted the next year. I didn't do well enough. I know it's an old story, everybody says it, but I did pick up an injury halfway through the season and kind of didn't really perform well enough at the back end of the season to warrant another contract. That's how I ended up coming to Wolves. So.
I mean, for you, John, we'll talk about obviously your career at Wolves and your career beyond. But is there, or was there at the time, I should say, not so much now, but was there a thing, you know, what might have been, especially when you went to see how well the Arsenal team and the Arsenal players that you were in and around were getting on? Was it a case of, did you feel a bit I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've had hundreds of sleepless nights over that one decision, and really, I should have just signed it, and been grateful to be offered a contract at Arsenal. But you have to try and think of how I was at 17, whereas a year before I was kind of wanted by every club in the country.
Absolutely.
And I felt if it didn't work out there, I could go somewhere else if they weren't going to look after me. And that was totally wrong, because I now understand, but I didn't at the time, that poison gets spread. And I know for a fact managers talk to other managers and they'll say he's trouble, or they don't want players to stand up for themselves. We had no agents. We had nobody to, talk for you. So if you stood up for yourself, you were regarded as trouble. Well, I wasn't trouble. I was just, I got my own mind, and
absolutely,
I just wanted to be looked after and kind of, respected, and I think all they want you to do is go, yes sir, no sir, and do as you're told. But that, unfortunately, football, you've got a very short window to try and do the best you can. But I do look back and think that was a mistake. Literally 2 years later, or 3 years later, they won the league against Liverpool. Michael Thomas, the winner, and all my mates from there were playing. And I'm not arrogant in any way, shape, or form, but I was, in the team with them, and I was not any lesser a player.
Absolutely, of course you wasn't. So, they were your peers. You was in and around them.
Yeah, so it is a regret, but I'm 57. What can I do?
Wait, I ain't being funny, John. It's done now, son.
Yeah, you brought it up.
Listen, we can joke about it, but I think there's a massive shift changing pattern now where before, in your era, the clubs definitely had the power, and I think now that has definitely shifted now to players.
Yeah, and probably far too much the other way. I think there's a middle ground somewhere, but I don't know how they find that. Obviously, the Bosman ruling started kind of the shift.
Yes.
And then the money that came in with Sky to start with meant the wages went up. I think there's a balance. I think it's gone far too far the other way, and really the money is obscene that the players earn. But if you were one of those players and they put that bit of paper in front of you, you're going to
where do I sign?
Off it. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
Bring your own pen.
And players, people call players mercenaries, and to a degree, obviously some are. But if someone goes to Saudi Arabia, for example, for the money, people have got to remember, John, as football is a very short career. When you're 18 and 19, you think football's forever. As soon as we'll talk about it in a minute. As soon as you start getting to mid-20s, you're almost looking at the end. And I think you have got to really make that money, especially now, and while you can. But Arsenal's loss was Wolves' gain. You signed for Wolves in 1985. Who was the manager that originally signed you, John?
So it was Sammy Chapman. Sammy had seen me play for Arsenal, I think at Villa Park against Villa. And he liked me, and when I became available, he was straight in touch with me. And also at the time, I'll be honest, I thought I'd be kind of inundated, but I wasn't. So that kind of was a bit of a shock. And I got offered to go to Notts County or to come to Wolves. And I like Sammy, again, Northern Irish. He rang, I was away on holiday, I think. He rang the home, spoke to my mum. So they spoke Blarney for, I don't know, a bit. And I came back and my mum said, the guy from Wolves has rung you. He seems like a really nice guy. You need to talk to him. And he was kind of a very smooth talking charmer. And he got me up to Wolves. And initially on trial. So it was kind of, a bit desperate. But like in that summer, I worked so hard to get in the best shape of my life. So I was quite confident that wherever I went, my belief in my ability has never been questioned by anybody, really. It's always been, work ethic and kind of all that, which I get. And unfortunately, in the 80s, a lot of it was all about that. 4-4-2, play the ball long, pick up second balls, all that. None of that suited me at all. to be honest, and I struggled to fit into that kind of style of football. So it was quite difficult because I knew I could play, but I just couldn't find the vehicle, the team to play in.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, for a year, yeah, I was at Wolves and they played a lot of ball to me, but we were a poor team at a very difficult time for the club.
Oh, absolutely.
And it not much consolation being the star of a team that's poor. I definitely am a better player in a good team because obviously got more possession and you play more football. But my first year at Wolves, I did play well, but we got relegated. It was like we couldn't. If we scored 4, we let in 6.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of very difficult period.
It was a tough time, but I suppose that Wolves being in the position that they were, it obviously elevated an opportunity for you. And obviously, Sammy Chapman, he was a completely different manager to Graham Turner. I think Sammy Chapman did want ball playing midfielders, forwards, but I think Graham Turner, his mindset and the way he wanted to play was completely different.
Yeah, well, in between we had Brian Little.
Yeah,
Brian came in.
Very brief, wasn't it, Brian?
Yeah, but he again wanted to play football.
Yes,
and he was quite a good man manager, so he would actually talk to you, even if he was going to drop you. He'd explain why and what he expected from you, and which I respect completely. If someone's, it's like in life, if someone's going to sack you or not give you an order or whatever, if they explain why and sort of have the decency to pick up the phone and tell you, or answer the phone and say, John, I've decided to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Then I got full respect for that. That's fine. I can deal with that.
Yes.
But when people just do things, don't talk to you, which was really the old-fashioned way of football management. It was like, if you're injured, they don't talk to you. If you're not going to play, they just pick the team. They don't explain why. It's just like, you're just treated like a bit of cattle. And that's like, for me, and I'm sure he won't watch this, but I've already told Graham Turner to his face that he wasn't a good man manager. He did really well,
unbelievably well
in the situation that Wolves were in. He was the right man for that job.
Yes,
I just wasn't the right man for him in the job that he needed to do, and I know that.
Yeah.
So I've got no problem with what he did. It's just how he dealt with individuals.
Yeah,
and he doesn't understand it or realise the effect he's had on people long term about that treatment of, not talking to you, not explaining anything, just casting you aside. It's not the way to treat a human being. It's, regardless of whether he gets a win on a Saturday or not.
Yeah.
It only takes 2 minutes to kind of talk to people.
Yeah.
And that was what disappoints me about that time. I accepted that he wanted to play long ball, percentage football, which didn't suit me, and I get that. But then he played Robbie Dennison, who was sort of similar to me, but he signed him from West Brom, and he was always going to play Robbie in front of me because he paid money for him. So there's a bit of double standards there as well. So
I think that's it sometimes. I think when when a manager comes in, a new manager comes in, sorry, and he inherits players.
Yeah.
Sometimes he wants to bring his own players in. The players he brought in, I think he had to adapt. He had to adapt the football because you're quite right. It was a very effectively long ball. It was a very direct ball that he used to play. From the fullbacks over the top, strikers chased onto it, and it was very successful. Obviously, as we went up the leagues, it certainly that style had to change. But for you, as a ball playing almost number 10, sort of attacking midfield just behind the front two, there is no way that side would be able to, as skillful as you was, John, there was no way that side effectively would have accommodated you.
No, and I get it. His system was 4-4-2. I either had to play on the wing, which you just ended up with a sore neck a lot of the time. It was literally direct. But having said that, I do believe if Brian Little had assigned Steve Bull, they'd have still won the 4th and 3rd division.
Oh, yes, yeah. I mean,
so for me, Bully won those leagues. We were kind of bit parts, and Graham Turner played a system to suit him.
Yep.
Absolutely. But I also know that Bully scored goals for West Brom playing for Ron Saunders. Ron didn't fancy him because his first touch wasn't great, whatever. He still scored goals.
Yes.
And they were playing football. Literally, if you get the ball in the box anywhere around Bully, he's going to score.
Yeah.
At that time, he was that.
Oh, just lethal. Just
yeah.
Like you said, clinical.
Yeah. He didn't have to be technically that great, but his hunger, his desire, his pace, his power, he was going to score goals. So the money was released to Graham Turner by the board of directors.
The Gallaghers, I believe, at the time, yeah. The Gallaghers, yeah.
Well, it was Dick Homden and
Dick Homden,
the Shrewsbury connection,
there was Jack Harris.
Yeah. So they were Graham Turner's directors at Shrewsbury, came to Wolves, and they obviously wanted their man in, and he became available at Villa. He got sacked at Villa.
Yes, yeah.
And it just all fit that they wanted him rather than Brian Littleson.
I mean, just moving forward, Graham Turner signed a player called Mark Burke, and Mark Burke was actually very similar to yourself. Fantastic control, eye for a pass, brilliant vision, could bring other players in, great with both feet. But it was a bit of a strange signing for Graham Turner at the time because he still wasn't playing that sort of football.
Yeah, I don't get it. But perhaps he became available. He needed a squad player.
Yeah, I think we signed him for about £15,000 at the time for Middlesbrough, so it was pretty inconsequential. Yeah. When it must be hard for you because there was a stat earlier on Facebook. I think someone piped up that you scored on this day, something like nearly 40 odd years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I was 18. I don't remember the game at all, but apparently we won 2-1. And there was 3,800, I think, at Molineux. And
Derek Ryan got the first, and you grabbed the second?
Yeah.
Apparently so, if you remember, guys. I mean, a bit before my time, John, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I was only 12.
So, how old was you when you made your debut for Wolves?
18, yeah. I had 3 years. 3 years, probably 18 months of good stuff, and then the last 18 months was a real struggle. I knew Graham Turner didn't fancy me, and I was on my way out. I tried to go out on loan, a couple of times, but I really I lost the love for football when I left Wolves, and it took me I left Wolves at 21, and I think until I got to Kidderminster when I was about 26, 27, those 5 years in between, I didn't really want to play.
Really?
I went to I went to Shrewsbury, then Brentford.
You did the boat race as well, Cambridge and Oxford?
I've been to Cambridge and Oxford. Yeah, not many do that,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a bit of I ended up a bit of a journeyman. So I decided to get out of professional football, and it really, if I look back, I love football. I wanted to play football, but maybe professional football wasn't for me.
And that's a big statement to make, John.
Yeah, but it didn't make me happy. I wasn't enjoying it. I think if things at Arsenal had took off,
that's different.
And I'd have stayed and kind of gone on to what I thought was going to be my path, then it might be different. But then again, who knows? Because look at the troubles Tony Adams had, Paul Merson's had, Kenny Sansom's had, and I could go on. The success.
All players that you was training with.
Yeah, well, success and fame doesn't always bring happiness, and
absolutely,
it's all about we're on this earth for more than that 15 years of being a footballer. So it's kind of how you.
So the good thing is it hasn't defined you. A lot of people we know, former players who still dwell on the past and still, and I get it. To a certain degree, it must be very hard to let go sometimes. But I think you actually let go while you were still playing. Yeah,
I knew, the reality is I went into football to be rich and famous, if you like. But I now know
because when you start at Arsenal, sorry, John, that's, I suppose, the path you see these players going down. I mean, there is a story where you went into the bank, didn't you? You had to collect your wages, and there was the payroll there. And there's just ridiculous sums back then, wasn't there?
Well, that was kind of back in the day when we had no debit cards or credit. You had to go into the bank to get your money. And I went up to the counter, and I think it was a trainee or something. And she I said, and I whispered, because I just said, I'm from Arsenal, can I have my wages? And she literally showed me the whole wage list and said, which one are you? And Charlie Nicholas was at the top
I'm Charlie Nicholas.
Yeah, at £2,400 a week.
Back then?
Yeah, and that was 83, 84, 83, which, I mean, to me, it still sounds quite a bit of money, but in comparison to what...
Oh, yeah.
You know...
But, I mean, back then, relatively speaking, that now would probably be about 50, 60,000 a week.
Yeah, but again, it's still nothing to what they're getting now.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, and I was on 30 quid a week, so I
keep going.
And I did think maybe I should have just tried my luck, and see if they noticed.
Well, there you go.
Took a month's wages out.
We might have been drinking better wine than this. A couple of funny stories, obviously, off the pitch at Wolves. I mean, there's one, this story absolutely fascinates me, where it was such an innocent time, I suppose. Wolves are sort of languishing in the 4th division. Before they started the climb, you lived the other side of West Park by the Royal Oak pub, the flat tops at the Royal Oak pub, and you used to walk across West Park to come to games, and you'd be chatting with fans, and they'd think you was a fan.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, I hadn't, the first year I was at Wolves, I hadn't got a car.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Don't worry about that.
That was the second year. The first year I hadn't got a car, so I was I walked. That's why I bought the flat, so I could walk to training, get to Molineux. In fact, Digger Barnes used to pick me up in the morning to take me to training
Barnes,
a lot,
yeah.
Which he was a great character. But on a Saturday, he got things to do, family stuff, and then I just said, look, I'll walk. It's only 10 minutes. I used to walk across the park. The Wolves fans are in the pubs having a pint, and I'd just carry on past them, and then some of them would be walking to the ground or to the goalpost. Pubs near the ground. Some would occasionally I'd get recognised and they'd go,
yeah,
all right, good luck, John, and all that. But a lot of the time I was just walking with them, it's just like to the game.
Yeah, and they're asking you what they think the score was going to be.
Yeah, well,
that's brilliant. That's just so innocent, and I think, knowing you as I know, John, I think you actually probably preferred it that way, didn't you? You're not one to caught the limelight, and certainly, you're not comfortable in that sort of surrounding, are you?
No, I just think I'm lucky enough. I was born with and worked as a kid, like the practice I put in playing football because I loved it, and I'd got a natural talent. That was the path that opened up for me. It wasn't kind of a plan or anything like that. So I never think I'm better than anybody else. It's just that I could kick a ball better than some people, It's like, and I played with a lot of players non-league that were far better than players that I played with in
the league,
pro football. But perhaps they didn't have the strong mentality, the determination to get to that level. And to be honest, if I hadn't got the ability I got, I don't think I would have got there either. It was only my ability got me there.
Yeah.
Not kind of overcoming, obstacles and determination. Players, like, let's think of a friend of mine, Eddie McGoldrick, who ended up playing for Arsenal, went to Palace.
Yeah, good career, Republic of Ireland international.
Absolutely. And his determination, his athleticism, his actual desire to make it in football made him make it in football.
Yeah.
He never got picked up as a kid, and he ended up going to Kettering as a trainee, and then broke into the Kettering first team. Then he went to Nuneaton with Graham Carr. Graham Carr took him to Northampton, and then he got signed for Palace.
Yeah,
it was all about his desire to do it, which I've got full admiration for, But there's lots of players like that are willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
But there's also, like you said, especially non-league, there's some really skillful players, but if there's something missing or something lacking, the opportunities don't always come.
Well, it can just be that word opportunity. It can just be someone giving them an opportunity.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they're a small developer, slow developer as a kid, and they don't blossom till they're 18, 19, 20, 21.
Yes.
Ian Wright being a classic example.
Yeah, classic example, coming in to football very late and achieved so much.
But I played at Kidderminster with Richard Forsyth, who technically was a great footballer.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with him when we were in the good Kidderminster team. He's maybe 3 or 4 years younger than me, I think. And we sat in the bar and he spoke and he said, "John, do you think I'll ever be able to play pro football?" And I said, "Well, all I can say to you is you're better than players I played with in pro football."
Yeah.
My only thing with him was he wanted to sit in the middle of the park and spray the ball around, which he was very capable of doing and good at it. But in that time, people wanted athletes. They wanted people to run up and down.
Box to box. Yeah.
So he got himself incredibly fit and did just that.
Yeah.
And when he did it, and he was basically playing behind me. I was playing in front three. And admittedly, I wasn't the hardest working player. And he played in a midfield three behind me. And he did a lot of tidying up for me and covering and whatever. But we had a great relationship. So he knew when he got the ball, he knew where I was going to be.
Yes.
And it was a little bit telepathic. And he went on, played for Blues.
Yeah, good career.
Yeah, and did really well. But sometimes it's just the opportunity. And we played against Blues for Kiddie. And he played really well, did a great job for us. Barry Fry, who was their manager, must have noticed.
Yes.
And I ended up signing him.
Barry can spot a good player.
Well, he ended up signing. Well, Barry was one of those who's willing to give non-league players a try because he was in it with Barnet for years.
Yeah.
So he knew
working to low budgets, had to forage around.
He knew there was quality at non-league.
Yeah.
So he was never scared to give an opportunity.
Yeah.
He's probably never scared either to get rid of them if they weren't good enough.
Absolutely.
But he would churn and give people a chance. So he was, Fozzie went and did well. And that was great for me to see.
Yes, to see players developing and
get and actually do well from, when they've got that desire and they really want it. It's good to see them get it.
I mean, make no mistake, John. I've spoke to lots of supporters, especially who fondly remember the 80s, and they always tell me how skillful you was and what a player you was, and you was probably almost too skillful or too good at the time for where we was, if that makes sense, because sometimes, I suppose it would have been a luxury to have you as that player. And I think you'd have probably, and a lot of people have said this isn't just my observations, that you'd have probably progressed quicker at a higher level. But you're not a mechanic. Now, I know one story when you passed your test and you got a car and it all went wrong, didn't it? And Greg Fellows, he's living in Spain now, Greg Fellows, one of the coaches, tried to help you out of a bit of a hole, didn't he, John?
Well, yeah, that's kind of, I had a Volkswagen Polo. I think it cost us some total of 500 quid.
Oh, good car then.
Yeah. Well, it was my first car, 18, 19. To be honest, I think my mum and dad paid for it, if I'm honest, 500 quid. Gave me a car. What can I say? I was happy to have a car.
What colour was it?
It was red. I don't know if that's lucky or not. It seems not. It was kind of a different colour red when it finished. But yeah. So the story is that when I was at Wolves, I had an injury and I kind of came back. I was going to play in the reserves on the Tuesday night to get ready to play in the first team on the Saturday. I was driving to the ground on the ring road in Wolverhampton, and I got to the lights just before you turn left to down Waterloo Road, and it just conked out, stopped. God, I don't know what to do. I just stopped. So I just parked up, walked to the ground from there because it's only about 100 meters, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I said to Greg Fellows, Greg, I don't know, my car's broken down on the ring road back there. Can you get the minibus and tow it in or do something for me? So he said, yeah. So I had to get ready to play. And I went out, first half played, came in at half time and Greg's standing there. And I said, what's happened, Greg? And he went, well, I went to get it, to bring it back. And there was 3 fire engines around it, putting it out, it had blown up.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So that was the end of that car. And it, literally, didn't bother after that.
It just wouldn't happen now, would it? Ruben Neves' Range Rover wouldn't be blowing up, would it, round the corner from the Molyneux?
I wouldn't imagine so. Yeah.
But like I said, innocent times. They were great times. My first game at Wolves was 1989, just after you left, to be honest. And I just remember going into the South Bank. You could smell the pies and the hot dogs as you're walking in. The players looked like ice skaters, and the floodlights were on them, and it was just a magical time. And I know there was 2 stands derelict, and you know, I was in the South Bank. It was just a great time. And could you, when Graham took over and you started propelling, if you like, could you see there was something special about to happen almost?
Well, as a 20-year-old fellow when Graham came, or at 19, I think I was, I remember seeing it on Central News that they kind of sacked Brian Little and appointed Graham Turner. And I already knew about Graham Turner and the way he played football from Shrewsbury, and then, like, from some of the Villa lads. They all detested him at Villa. So I was like, this isn't going to suit me. I knew straight away my number was up.
That's a shame.
Yeah. But, you know, he came in with a rod of iron. He sorted a lot of things out. The kit got better, you know. He did sort stuff out, you know.
Yeah. This was your first kit, wasn't it? The old Umbro one.
Yeah. So
it's one wearing it, by the way.
Yeah, but there was kind of that sort of stuff off the pitch. He did do a lot and sorted stuff out. But I knew, and he did give me opportunity. He gave me a bit of opportunity, but the way I felt was I was always on trial. So if I didn't pull up any trees in the first half, I thought, I'm going to get 10 minutes and get the hook. And it was all, and that was never how to manage me. I needed, like, to be believed in, to be loved, which I got at Kidderminster eventually.
Yes.
The only manager, apart from Sammy Chapman, Graham Orler was the only manager that kind of got me and kind of went, I like what he does, not what he doesn't do.
Yes.
And I'm prepared I'm prepared to sacrifice what he doesn't do for the good of the team. I'll get someone else.
You don't track back, do you? You know, that's not your game, is it?
No, I couldn't see the reason for doing that when my good stuff is going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and Graham Orner for me was a perfect manager. We fell out and all that, but
of course,
his football ethos was, I want my attackers to attack, I want my defenders to defend, and I want my midfielders to do a bit of both.
Yeah.
Right. And his total thing was, if you're attacking and I'm picking you and you're not scoring or you're not creating, then I'm going to get somebody else who does.
Yeah.
And if you're a defender, if you're not defending and you're not effective defending, I'll get somebody else who does.
Yeah.
So we knew our jobs, we knew what we were asked to do. And for me, it was just simple. You know, I knew my pressure was either go and score or create. That was it. That was my job. And he didn't expect me to do a defender's job, because that's what defenders are for.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of simplified it for me.
And you were successful at Kidderminster. We're going to come on to that. Right at the end, obviously, you left Wolves, I believe, in the May of 1988. Before that, obviously, there was the training on the car park. I mean, you was involved in that, John. For you, as a player, you've trained at Arsenal, you know, bowling green pitches, etc. Was it a bit of a culture shock when you do start doing things like that, or did you think it was a bit quirky and you just went along with it?
You know, you're an employee, you do as you're told. It was like, that's where we're training, that's where we're training.
Yeah.
I never looked down on it or anything like that. It was just kind of what we had to do. What it has done is give me 2 bad knees and a bad ankle.
I shouldn't laugh. I really shouldn't laugh, John, because they're giving you jip now, aren't they?
Yeah. So
John won't be able to move off that stool now for another 2 hours.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one. You know,
absolutely.
And I'm sure it's not just the car park, but that really isn't kind of a good thing for you to be training.
I mean, I remember going down to watching it. So it's behind the old North Bank, the cowshed, whatever you want to call it, and it was a shale car park, and it wasn't a tarmac car park. It was just shale. There was half enders, all sorts, and you'd bump the cars out of the way. You'd make this pitch, and I used to go down there with balls bouncing up in the air, people going at feathers, people going in full pelt. There were slide tackles, all sorts, and I was thinking, hang on a sec. But I never saw anyone get injured, and it just seemed to work.
Yeah, well, it was a bonding thing, wasn't it? And it kind of, I think what actually happened the first time we did it, we got nowhere else to train, so Turner had no choice. We had to train there.
Yeah.
And that was the Friday morning. We won on the Saturday. So it became a lucky thing.
Yeah.
And I think we went on a run, you know, I don't know. It's all bullshit. It's like Bully fucking won the games for us, you know. So it didn't matter where you trained.
You could have trained on flipping,
It didn't matter. But that's how it kind of started. And because we won the 4th division, then won the 3rd division, it became a kind of a lucky omen, I guess. But
and did you ever get the yellow jersey? Because I know at training, that was another one you'd have to wear if you'd had a poor performance throughout the week. You would be given the yellow jersey on a never Jon Purdie.
Not ever, no.
Never. All right. Well, I'll get the truth.
Yeah.
I'm joking. You was also a founder member of the Tuesday Club.
I was, yeah.
Which was your favourite day of the week, I believe, John?
Oh, I don't know about that. Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday. No, we the Tuesday thing was if we didn't have a game on we didn't have a game on the Tuesday night, we'd have 2 sessions, running sessions.
When you say session, running sessions.
Training sessions on the Tuesday, and they'd give you the Wednesday off, back in on the Thursday. So after training on the Tuesday, we used to go out for a few beers, and literally it started off with about 3 of us, and then grew and in the end, when we were doing well, everybody came out for a period of time, an hour, 2 hours. The married lads would end up, getting nagged home, and then the rest would carry on till whatever time on a
But then Ali Robertson took that to the next level, didn't he? Because it wasn't just drinking at the Mermaid or Rockies as it was. Then it was Ali Robertson and rock up in his Porsche, and you'll be going up to Birmingham.
Well, it started off just around Wolverhampton and going into Phoenix Snooker Hall. Kip's Wine Bar and
Kipsies.
So we used to walk up the town and sort of have a few hours up the town, then end up either at Eve's or in the night. When Ali came in, obviously his connections were more Birmingham related, and he stuck with us for a little bit. But Ali being Ali, he kind of wanted to get a bit closer to home. So
that's the mature man in him, isn't it? At the time, he's 35, 36. He's thinking, I ain't playing in Wolverhampton.
Yeah. So he wanted to get back, and to be fair, it opened up another avenue of kind of
drinking holes.
There was other benefits.
I'm sure there was.
A bigger population.
Actually, you wrote a book, and that's a great read, by the way. Purds, Booze and Footy. I was going to put a copy there, but I couldn't find it. Yeah. No, I have got a copy.
It's a doorstop, or you burn
that's it. It's just it also, I believe, you used to go and get the booze for the away trips to drink on the way back.
Not the away trip. So
I'm wrong.
Yeah, again, at the time at Molyneux, there was cutbacks everywhere, so they shut the players' bar. So we had no players' bar after the home game. So and this is the time where I was bombed out, and I was kind of occasionally sub and just hanging around doing not a lot really. So I thought, may as well make myself useful. So I approached the club and said, look, if I run the bar,
so hang on, you've gone from number 10 to running the players' bar.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I said, if I run the bar for the lads, can you open it up and let me do it? They were like, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'll go to Blakemore's Cash and Carry.
Yeah.
Get lager, bitter. I think the Kestrel lager was like about 20 pence a can. And
no, it was 69p. Oh, God.
Yeah. So I used to get that, and then some bits at John Smith's, and get some wine for the ladies, some pop for the kids, and £1 a can I charged, and the money that we made all went to a Christmas
jolly
out, strippers.
So you was entertainment manager basically at Wolves at the time.
I turned myself into that, to remain popular with the lads and unpopular with the manager.
Yeah. Well, it certainly worked, John. It certainly worked. And right at the end of your time at Wolves, May 88, it coincided with obviously a promotion to the 3rd division, and the culmination was at Wembley when we beat Burnley 2 on the Sherpa Van Trophy final. How hard is it for you as a player? Yes, they won the game, but knowing your ability to play on the bays of Wembley. I've asked Colin Brazy the same question. Colin Brazy was substitute in the 1980 League Cup final. He missed out. He was the 12th man, effectively. How hard is that for you, John, to watch on? I mean, I know you had a good day and had a few beers and all that, but how hard is it for you to watch on, knowing that that could have been an unbelievable stage for you?
Well, I knew it was coming, so it wasn't kind of a shock. It wasn't like I got dropped on the day or I didn't get picked on the day. I'd been out of favour for most of the season, so I didn't expect to play. I got no pretensions that I was going to be involved. In fact, I went on loan and got cup tied, so I knew I wasn't going to play.
Flipping out.
The twist of it is that Turner said to me, if you were fit and available, you would have played.
Really?
Yeah, the week before, but I think he's just twisting the knife, So it's like, fortunately, I played at Wembley for England schoolboys, and I played at Wembley for Kidderminster in the FA Trophy final.
Yeah.
Later in my days, so a lot of better players than me, or more successful players than me, never played at Wembley. So I haven't got any problem with that. No, it's like I knew I wasn't going to play, so it's fine. I did a great job of looking after all the ladies on the day.
Of course you did, John. That's your forte.
Serving them champagne on the way there, and
yeah.
So
I think knowing you, that's probably a better doubt for you than playing at Wembley, anyway, isn't it?
Well, I won't go that far, but yeah.
But you did get your day in the sun. Kidderminster played Birmingham City in 1994. If you haven't watched the goal, guys, get on YouTube and watch it. Now you're on YouTube watching this. I mean, I've watched the Kidderminster 1-2-1. You scored an absolute worldie. It wasn't the best pitch. I've watched it. Did you, when you went, you knew where you was going to put it, but is it one of them when you hit it, you just know it's going in?
Do you know, it's that long ago, I don't know. But no, literally, I was, that game particularly, if I put it in context, when I left Wolves, I went to Oxford, and we played Man United away at Old Trafford in the 4th round of the FA Cup. And I was kind of on the outskirts of the first team, and there was a couple of injuries happened, and I ended up playing. And I was completely anonymous. I froze. The whole occasion got to me. If you ever walk out as a player at Man United when it's full, you have to have some bollocks really to play there.
Yeah.
And I get it. If it becomes normal, then fine. But as a one-off, it was quite. And I have to say this, as a young boy, I was a Man United fan, so it was kind of a bit until I started playing, and then kind of that all sort of died away. But it was a big thing for me, and I only got told the day before that I was playing. So and I didn't play well, and kind of got subbed off after about an hour or something. I don't know. I was playing against Paul McGrath, Steve Bruce with the 2 centre halves, Brian Robson, Remy Moses were in front of me.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be looking to get a kick. I mean, there's some serious players.
Well, we didn't have a lot of the ball anyway.
Yeah.
When I did, I was playing up front on my own, and it was kind of a hold on to it for a bit, and they were just coming through me and taking it like I was like a kid playing against men.
So back then there'd be about 40, 50,000 at Old Trafford?
Oh, 60 odd, 67 I think it was.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, so from going from that, where I'd always been a big game player, I'd always risen to kind of the games, and that kind of shocked me a little bit that I didn't play well, and it hurt me. So when we got the draw against Blues, I'd never, as I said earlier, I'd never doubted my ability, and I was in a good team at Kidderminster, although it was conference level. We were top of the conference.
Yep.
Most of the players had been pros, should be pros, and we were well organised, fit. We got a really good balance in the team. We weren't scared of playing anybody really.
Mm-hmm.
Blues were going through a bit of a tough time. Barry Fry had just taken over, and he'd got the revolving door going, so they weren't settled and they were struggling a bit. There's a great documentary with Karen Brady around that time saying, that how easy this game's going to be and they'll be in the next round. It was great. But so we turned up and kind of fancied ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. And there's extra needle because it's a local derby, isn't it, really? It's up the road.
Yeah, I
Not
guess,
far.
but we weren't bothered about that. We just wanted to win the game, and
Yeah.
it's like some of the lads had been at Blues as kids,
Of course, yeah.
and got released, so they got a bit of something to prove.
Yes.
But yeah, the pitch was, shockingly heavy. It was January the 8th, so
Yeah.
the pitches now are just a different level, aren't
Oh,
they?
yeah.
Then it was mud and sand and whatever else to get the game on, keep it dry enough to play. And the goal in particular was just, I was having a particularly good second half, and I'd had 3 or 4 opportunities. I should have had a penalty, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, the ball I was running with, and it just sat up, and it sat up, it hit a divot, and I couldn't hit it, so I moved it again, and then I hit it, and I thought the keeper got a hand to it. I thought he's going to keep it out, but luckily enough, it
Went
flew
in.
yeah.
And I mean, that's still the Kidderminster fans still speak about that to this day. It was, a huge occasion for them. Huge victory over Birmingham City as well. It was the 3rd round of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for those supporters that day, I've been to a few events at with Kidderminster Harriers, and they still revere that side, don't they?
Yeah, because we were good. Really,
It's true.
And not only good, entertaining.
Yeah.
The football was always attacking.
Yeah.
Graham Horner's philosophy was to score one more than the opposition.
Yeah.
It was never to win a game 1-0. In fact, I think he would hate that thought of him as a manager, of like boring people into a 1-0 victory.
Yeah.
He wanted to entertain people and the fans. So the fans that actually watched that team for the 2 years or so that we were on our game, every game was entertaining.
Yeah.
It was never like a boring game. It just couldn't be, because we played 4-3-3. The three attackers, which I was fortunate enough to be one, were literally told not to cross the halfway line, get to the halfway line.
And that, for a striker or a forward, that's music to your ears, isn't it?
Oh, unbelievable for me anyway, yeah. Corners against, he said, 3 of you stay on the halfway line. If you were defenders, you'd be playing at the back.
Yeah.
So he said, I don't want you anywhere near our box, because you don't know what you're doing there. So I was like, you're absolutely right. I'm better off up that end of the pitch. So
thank you very much.
Up there, yeah. But also it meant you'd actually got the energy when you got the ball to attack and do your job. Because if you're backtracking and coming back and forward and back, it's exhausting. Like these. I know it's different now, and they're so much fitter.
Yeah, just athletes, aren't they? They're like greyhounds.
Yeah, but back in the day, when you're drinking a lot and kind of, it's hard to run all that much as well.
And it was West Ham next round?
No, Preston the next round. We beat
Preston, then West Ham in the 5th, yeah?
5th round.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, we were unlucky that game. We should have got a draw, but they beat us 1-0, yeah.
So incredible. I mean, that for a club the size of Kidderminster are a good sized club, but to get to that level,
yeah,
he's just incredible.
I've seen a podcast with Martin Allen, who played that day.
Mad Dog, yeah.
Martin was kind of a year older than me. I played against him when he was at QPR as a kid, and came different teams over the years. And he played for West Ham, as did another lad, Stevie Potts, who was all through
Steve Potts,
my youth sort of experiences. Lee Chapman, who was at Arsenal when I signed for Arsenal.
Striker, Leeds.
So there was quite a few that kind of were knocking about, and Martin Allen did a podcast and said we were so lucky that day. They should have had a penalty in the last minute, which was me. And the game was kind of a bit of a stalemate, because they came a bit cautious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we didn't want to really open up too much to let them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a draw would have been fair.
In cup ties like that, if the bigger side, I should say, the Giants, if you like, score a couple, all of a sudden the floodgates can open, can't they?
Yeah, because you've got to come out and play.
Absolutely.
I think it was 67th minute they scored, so we'd only got 20-odd minutes to try and get back. And yeah, it's one of them, a bit frustrating, but there you go.
And would it be fair to say, John, that you alluded to it earlier, that the part-time football suited you more than the full-time game for a number of reasons?
Yeah, and one of the main reasons was money. I came out of football, and for about 6 months, I was looking for a sales job. No one had given me a chance. What had I done? Nothing apart from kick a ball, nothing. And then I got an opportunity in telecommunications. Me and my wife ended up with our own business, which went very, very well.
Yeah.
The marriage didn't, but
Yeah.
the business did, which she benefited from. Let's not go there. And but I was earning really good money outside of football.
Yeah.
And then my football money was probably on a path to what I was earning when I was a pro. So I hadn't lost anything
Yes.
financially. And also the pressure was off completely. In professional football, then you got 1 year or 2 year contracts if you were lucky. And if you get an injury or a new manager comes in, you're all up in the air. You don't know what the future holds in the next 12 months or whatever. So it took all that kind of pressure away. And I knew I could play football, so I knew I could go to Telford, Cheltenham, Bromsgrove, Worcester, which I did, all of them, in non-league. Got paid very well at that level to play.
And without the pressures,
because
you told me about getting contracts, and you're living literally year to year, aren't you? You're living to the next contract, and that's for a working man who's earning. I suppose even then, as a footballer, even in the league, you're not earning in the lower leagues. You're not earning much more than the working man, and you're living from contract to contract. It's very unstable.
Yeah, and also, like, I married a girl from Wolverhampton. She didn't want to leave Wolverhampton.
Yeah.
So, my next contract was Oxford. She didn't want to go to Oxford.
Yeah.
So I ended up travelling backwards and forwards, spending 4 nights a week there, coming back.
Yeah.
It just kind of wasn't a great time. Very unstable. But Oxford's only a couple of hours away. It could have been, Darlington or whoever, Torquay, or, literally Holmesy, Mickey Holmes went to Torquay, Dean Edwards went to Torquay.
Yeah.
They're 4 hours away. It's like, you're asking a lot
of course you are.
To uproot. And the money wasn't.
Of course you are. And then you've got to uproot your kids, schooling, jobs. Yeah.
So I made the choice, like, if I'm not going to make it there, which became pretty obvious that wasn't going to happen for me, then I thought I'll cut my losses and, try and find another route.
And would it be fair to say as well, John, that you retired football and that the game actually didn't retire you?
Yeah, well, professionally, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could have stayed in at lower levels and dotted about for another 10 years. But then what? So it was it just sort of a light bulb came on that I don't want to be this. And also my personality didn't suit lower league football, being told what to do and do a
going on 4 mile runs. And
I don't mind. I didn't mind the training. I didn't mind any of that. It was kind of doing stuff that meant I wasn't even kicking a ball. It was like I'm just running up and down, stopping somebody else playing, doing a job.
Yeah.
There was no enjoyment for me. I wanted to enjoy football. I mean, we can only play for so long, and then you can't do it anymore because physically you can't.
Yeah.
So for the period that I could, I wanted to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I had enough of not enjoying it, being a professional. That's why I came out, and it was like from then on, it was kind of I want to enjoy playing football, and obviously there's the benefits of keeping fit, training, all that, the lads, the camaraderie, the fun. But the biggest thing for me is I knew I was, by the time you're 33, 34, you're done. So
if you're lucky. If you're lucky.
Yeah. So that was it. I just wanted to enjoy it. And that was it. So.
And we've got something in common, John. I'm a published author. Tales from the Tape, Volume 1 and 2, available in all good bookshops and terrible ones too. You wrote a book as well, didn't you, John?
I did, yeah. And I didn't write it to make any money. I wrote it to kind of.
Well, who paid for that Bentley on the drive?
Nothing to do with the book. No, so no, I wrote it because I think every boy's dream is to be a footballer.
I'm still dreaming. I'm 47.
yeah, and that's normal, and that was my dream as well. And it was just really to, to give the actual backstory of what it's like.
Yep.
And there's a lot of funny things in there as well. It's not all kind of doom and gloom, but there is the reality of what it's like.
Yes.
At, lower levels and rejection and stuff, that people have these rose tinted glasses thinking being a footballer always was amazing. And honestly, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wrote it for that reason, really, just to give the real background to it. Because I still see a lot of ex-footballers, and they all say I wouldn't change a thing. I think they're lying,
Yeah, I think I spoke to,
a lot. We've all had ups and downs and made mistakes, and me more than most, probably. But I think it's just a good thing to be honest and tell the truth about what it's like.
Yeah, absolutely. And you was very honest in the book. And you also, it was important that your sons read it as well, wasn't it? And it was for them as well.
Well, I don't know about you and everybody out there, the two people that are watching this.
Me and you.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch off now. Okay.
But I don't really know a lot about my father's life.
Yeah.
My grandfather, I don't know anything really. So it's just something, and a bit of something for them to
Absolutely.
pass on if they ever have children themselves or
Yeah.
whatever, and kind of say, well, yeah, he was an idiot, but he was all right.
Yeah. I actually saw you once get hit over the head with your book, but we won't go into that. Also, we can't tell that story, John. But what do you do now, John? Because, like I said, you don't, it wasn't obviously a dream you was going to management. You've gone into management, but it was more, I suppose, people asking you favours almost, wasn't it? Rather than, dreaming about passing on.
I had no aspirations to be a manager in the league or anything like that, but I loved coaching.
Yeah.
I coached at the academy in Wolves for a couple of years. I coached my two sons that, are now obviously when they were
coached in Thailand.
Coached in Thailand for a couple of years, which was a great experience.
Yeah.
But it was all about enjoyment and doing things, I've been lucky that, football's opened a few doors for me.
Yeah.
And that's certainly the case with the Thailand thing. I enjoyed sort of bringing my kids through until they left to go to uni and coaching their kids' teams and stuff. It was all a bit reluctant, but it was kind of forced on me because all the other parents really didn't know how to coach or anything about football.
Yeah.
So it was a case, my wife said to me, if you don't do it, like, no one's going to be able to do it. So
yeah,
you need to step up. So I did. And I actually enjoyed it when I did it for a few years, and I was involved locally at AFC Wolverinians for a few years, which was good, a good time. I enjoyed that. But yeah, it's, at the end of the day, it's very time consuming. It's not something that, and hats off to these people.
Absolutely.
Amateur teams.
The grassroots people keep the game going. Yeah.
They're amazing, but it's really hard work.
Can be a thankless task at times as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, especially if you're working as well, family, and they're also trying to do that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And some people do it for, till their dying day. They love it, so that's good for them.
Yeah.
I had about 10 years doing it, and that was enough for me.
Yeah. And now you are a will writer.
Well, I'm a estate planner, so I do.
Estate planner.
Yeah, I do basically look after people's wealth.
Yeah.
And try and make sure it passes to their.
If I had some, you could have looked after it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but yeah, I do trusts to protect property, lasting powers of attorney, and wills. That's kind of what I'm doing now.
Brilliant. Enjoying it?
Well, yeah, you're always helping people, and kind of I make a decent living at it, so I'm quite happy. Yeah.
Finally, John, quick fire: red or white wine?
Well, red tonight.
Oh, red.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I'm more white. Like a Sauvignon, sometimes a Pinot, a bit of Gavi. But I'm into my French reds.
You didn't offer me any white.
No, there's loads in there.
We'll have one after.
Oh, yes. Pineapple on a pizza? No, I know the answer.
Definitely,
People go, "Ooh, I don't like pineapple on a pizza."
I love pineapple. It's good for your system.
Tea or coffee? It's not an offer, by the way.
Coffee, definitely. Yeah. Tea is for old ladies.
Really? Who did you support growing up? What football team?
Yeah, Man U till I was 12. Only because of the Tommy Docherty team, the Coppell, Gordon Hill, Pancho Pearson, Jimmy Greenough,
Yeah.
Gordon McQueen, Martin Buchan,
Yeah.
Jimmy Nichol, Alex Stepney.
Wow, what
Arthur
team?
Alston,
Flipping
Sammy
heck.
McElroy, Lou Macari, Brian Greenough.
Yeah. Favourite holiday destination?
Definitely Thailand for me.
Yeah.
But it's nothing to do with you seedy people that are thinking anything other.
No.
Just beautiful beaches, so relaxing. You can be what you want to be, and I've got great respect for all of them that want to do whatever they want to do.
Cats or dogs?
Well, I would have said cats. I would have said cats.
But we've just ate one now.
No. But yeah, recently I've kind of connected with a dog, and the loyalty that they show.
This is all unplanned, by the way. I haven't even.
The loyalty that dog shows really quite amazing. It's blind love,
blind faith.
Yeah, it is.
What did they say? If you locked your dog and your missus in the boot all day,
yeah,
you open the boot. There's only one going to be happy to see you.
Exactly.
That is completely true, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never locked a woman in the boot, by the way.
Or a dog.
No, nor a dog neither.
Yeah. So, but I'd still, if it was, I don't know, goldfish.
Yeah. Any tattoos?
No tattoos.
Oh my God!
I thought about it.
A footballer without tattoos? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm not a footballer, see.
Oh yeah, that's true. So no tattoo. And what? So you say you thought about it? What tattoo would you have had?
Well, I was going to have a lone wolf.
Ah, I like it. Where?
Well, somewhere discreet. I was thinking under the arm there,
like where no one can ever see it. Yeah.
Well, not no.
Well, yeah, not no one. Yeah, not anyway.
But not everyone.
Yeah. So you might still have it.
I'm not one that likes pain. And I understand they're painful.
Ish. I mean, I stupidly for charity with Razor had a Millwall tattoo saying the wall. So now every time I go on holiday, all the West Ham fans are giving me flipping dead eyes. But yeah, I know it was a really good idea at the time. Raised a few quid for charity. But yeah, the pain, it's a bearable pain, that's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Indian or Chinese food?
Oh, well, I like both.
Yeah.
But Indian, you've got to eat in.
Yes, you got to eat at a restaurant Indian, 100%.
And I think I prefer Chinese takeaway.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the difference.
Yeah, we had a lovely Chinese tonight, didn't we, as well?
Oh, amazing.
Oh,
yeah, Indian eating, Chinese takeaway.
Yeah.
Chinese travels, Indian doesn't travel.
True. Well. That duck was quacking.
Oh.
Right. Guys, thank you for listening, watching even. It's the first one we've done. I would like to be all technical and say like and subscribe and do all that and bits come up, but I'm not that technically gifted. I'm a bit of a technophobe. A big thank you to Jon Purdie, not only for drinking all my favourite red wine, but on a serious note, playing 103 games for our club, scoring 13 goals, playing in quite a difficult era at the time, and still playing with a smile on his face. We are going to be doing more of these. If you've got any comments, positive, please obviously put them in the comments box. If you've got any negative comments, I don't want to know. I'm only joking. Thanks for your support, and there'll be another episode out soon.
Thank you.